Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. A couple more tournaments for us to look at. We are recording this early before the Mexico event on Sunday the 14th because we will not be available to record during the first part of that week. So we're recording this the previous week after the two tournaments on April 6th in Melbourne and Barcelona. So we don't have the Mexico results. We'll talk about that one next time. But let's get into the results from April 6th, starting in Melbourne, Australia. First place was Chainsaw Man Caligura Hendrickson. Second, Chainsaw Man Caligura Overlord. And then third place, one more Chainsaw Man, Choice Standby Dal, and 8 Choice Quince. A lot of the usual suspects here, with the exception of the Choice Standby Dal list, but even then, that's more of just a throwback than anything else, playing into the 2 copies of the Kurumi that it's allowed to have, and then the +2 level 1 combo, as well as the Neg Soul event, the Icy Tail at level 3. So just more good stuff, Dal. It's still present because it just has good profiles in it, and you could still do enough with 2 Kurumis to stay relevant, especially again in a trios format. Like, this is not a deck that's probably going to do super great in a singles format, but in trios, when it doesn't have to clear the big boards of Alice and Slime because Alice is gone and Slime is diminishing, it allows Dal to just play 50 good cards and lean into what it's best at.
Yeah, I mean, with standby, you're able to get enough power in play with some of those pieces, so you have actually a decent board at 1 to step over things. And you also just are, realistically, being able to play into that next soul event, being able to play into a lot of the cool yellow tech that you have in the deck, and then just kind of supplement your finisher with the actual finisher itself. You're basically playing the mid game as opposed to playing the end game. We also had a Licorice Recoil deck on its tournament debut weekend. It is a 4 Pants 4 salvage build that pants combo into the salvage top end. The front of our deck we expect to see going in, so looking to see if that will continue as the season unfolds. And then, realistically, I think it's our first Azure Lane deck, at least for a while now, for the season.
Yeah, the only other Azure Lane before April 6th topped in California back on March 3rd. Moving on to Barcelona, 16 teams. 10 of those 16 teams had Chainsaw Man on them, and 6 of the top 8 also had Chainsaw Man. First place was Pants Choice Spy Family, Standby, Bar, Guilty Gear, and Chainsaw Man. Second place, 8 Pants Spy Family, Chainsaw Man, and Avatar. Third place, Chainsaw Man, Caligura, Hololive, and Hendrickson. Fourth place, 8 Pants Spy Family, Avatar, and then another Chainsaw Man. So first things first, Chainsaw Man, we talked about it ad nauseum. I'm just going to reiterate once more. The reason that Chainsaw Man is getting all these tops, more than anything else, is the fact that it's just on all the teams. If 2/3 of the teams in the room have Chainsaw Man, 2/3 of top 8 is going to be Chainsaw Man, because Chainsaw Man is a good deck. We're seeing a lot of people talking about, should Chainsaw Man be banned or whatever. I don't think if anything, you're not going to ban it on power. Because although Chainsaw Man is very good, it isn't like the far and away best thing we've seen in the meta, in the same way that like a Dal was, or even, I would argue, the way that Alice used to be. It's just everywhere because it's on every team. So you're going to see a ton of CSM in these results. But that is something that they look at when they decide on restrictions. And we're going to keep talking about the possibility of a Chainsaw Man restriction until it either happens or it definitively doesn't happen.
Well, and realistically, we'll get that confirmation on the 19th.
At least for spring season, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, they'll be looking at this for fall. You know they will. If Chainsaw Man makes it through spring unscathed, I think they'll give it at least part of the fall season just to see if it actually is as dominant in a singles format as it has been in the trios format. But even more importantly, if Chainsaw Man is 40% of the room, they're going to hit it even if it's not doing that well because of just balance. They want more than one set to be played. And right now, looking at, top 8 in Barcelona, in a trios format, a quarter of the decks in top 8 are all the same deck. Bushiroad doesn't like that. Bushiroad does not want that to be a thing. So they're going to do what they can to keep that from being that way going forward. Lost in all that, 4 tops for Spy Family, mostly the 8 pants list, also a pants choice that was on the winning team. People have really locked into the pants mid game for sure, and it feels like the pants top end as the way to play Spy Family. And ultimately, like, I think that pants choice probably has the higher ceiling than 8 pants, just because, like, if you can get the Anya package together and get it going, there's a lot of really good defensive value there. But 8 pants just works more out of the box. It's a much simpler thing to get online, and it has fewer things that can go wrong. And I think that's why people are seeing the success with it that they are, especially in a Chainsaw Man meta, where Chainsaw Man is this very consistent thing where 75-80% of the time it just kind of does what it wants and gets the game plan it wants more often than not. And Spy Family kind of has to match that.
I think that Spy Family is definitely rising up the ranks to try to become that kind of like either realistically contending for that second spot essentially alongside the Chainsaw Man, right? Because it used to be kind of either Hololive or Avatar, kind of being like that number 2 slot, but Spy Family's definitely jumped up there to kind of tie in with those other two.
I mean, Hololive is still, I think, the number 2 in terms of both representation and results in this current meta, and it's mostly Caligura. It's like, again, in a meta where you don't have to worry about board because you just have these really solid value engines and these, top ends that close, with the exception of Chainsaw Man, you have so much more freedom to just slam combos at level 1 and go and play what almost feels like an old-fashioned game of Weiss, just with much bigger numbers on the cards.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. And I think that it's definitely in that number 2 spot, but I think there's at least some kind of contention alongside Avatar and Spy Family for that kind of same role too. Those 4 decks are probably the ones you would most consider to be in those top placing teams.
And again, like, this is trios. Like, we have to say this over and over again. This is trios. Something doing well in trios does not necessarily mean it does well in singles. It can be an indicator that it'll do well, but that's something we have to be attentive to. SDS also having a very good weekend as well, picking up 3 tops overall, all on the Hendrickson deck. Like, SDS, for the most part, all in on Hendrickson. But as you said, Avatar had a good weekend. But those are, I would throw SDS into that conversation, I think, to a certain extent. It's been pretty present everywhere except like a Toronto. It wasn't there, but in every other regional, it's been there. And it's had a pretty decent chunk. But we are starting to see, like, this weekend, we didn't see anything super weird in top 8, right? We saw some Azure Lane, probably getting its best weekend of the season with 3 total tops. We saw another Bang Dream, but it's not weird to see Bang Dream just get a top because it's, extremely competent across the board. But everything else in top 8 for this entire weekend is one of, the 6 or 7 usual suspects. The meta's starting to coalesce a little bit around these decks that push all this damage, generate these extra attacks, and critically develop these very good mid-game value engines. But that's where things seem to stand as we enter the middle of April. Brandon, as you said, we're going to have a stream on the 18th. So it'll be Thursday night into Friday. So it'll be midnight between Thursday and Friday if you're on the East Coast of the United States. 9 p.m. Pacific on the 18th if you're on the West Coast. Let's look at the release schedule now. We've had a few things kind of very quietly added to the schedule over the past few weeks. Still got Saikano, the 2 Bang Dreams, Bocchi the Rock, Ruby Premium, and Shauna. And then after that, in August, Hololive Premium featuring the Weiss Schwarz Ambassadors. That's essentially like a Trial Deck Plus kind of a vibe thing, but it's going to be like a set of cards that you can purchase one time, with every card in the set having a foil variant.
But you also get a pack of sleeves and the deck case and a storage box.
So we'll have some people, I guarantee, purchasing cases of this to try to foil out this set. But it's not a big set. Love Life School Idol Festival 10th has a date as well. It's the same date as premium ambassadors on August 2nd, because that set's going to be really small, so it makes sense to have another release on that day. Ayakashi Triangle has its release date August 16th, and then Hololive Premium Summer Collection August 30th. We can finally build a council deck for Hololive English. Very excited. We're moving now. Reprints coming up for JoJo's in May and Azure Lane in June. No dates yet for Dengeki Bunko or Love Live School Idol Festival 2.
With that in mind, we can look towards the stream. Some things I expect coming out of this stream are going to be probably artwork for Ruby, with that being the new English release coming out here in July. I expect that we might get an artwork. That's what we did last time with the Guilty Gear deck. We saw a little bit of artwork from this kind of spring stream, so I wouldn't be surprised if we got something like that. Maybe a true card reveal, we'll find out. Outside of that, I don't expect that we're going to get too many new sets or date announcements. I suspect maybe one set new, but the rest of it might just be repeats of dates that we already have.
Yeah, they've been doing this thing recently where they just keep posting the dates that they would have announced at the stream. So I don't know what the philosophy is behind that, but it's whatever. Like you said, we'll probably get one more thing announced, maybe. Maybe Dengeki Bunko, maybe School Idol Festival. Maybe it will be a new title, but I don't think that's super likely at this point. But then again, every time we've tried to make a prediction on what Bushiroad's going to do on one of these streams in the last year, it hasn't even been close. It used to be pretty predictable, it felt like, and now it's just I don't know.
I think it's going to be one new title, is actually what I think, and then we might get a date out of the other two that we don't have. Is potential, but I think it's going to be one new title.
Yeah, the Oshinoko True Believers are hanging on. We'll see if the faith is made sight on the 18th/19th. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with something. What are you doing on Tuesday?
Tuesday is going to be the deck video part 2. Essentially, we're going through the other decks in Saikano, and then for some gameplay for that the following Thursday then.
In 2 weeks, we'll be back with another Clock Talk. Until next time, thanks so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.